name's James Hawking, and I'm a piano player. Sort of. So, what I like to do today, if I may be indulged, is just talking about my last couple of pieces. They're called Summer Piano Improvisation and also Summer Piano Dawn Garden Ambient. So they're basically the same piece, but for the ambient one, I've sort of rearranged it, raised it an octave, and added some ambient evolving sound to it, as well as bird song from my garden. So I was out at 4 o'clock in the morning on a lovely summer's morning with my phone and just recorded the dawn chorus, the birds. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the noise and the sound is so, I don't know, so chilling and so relaxing. It's like nature at its best, really. But as usual, this video podcast will be pretty spontaneous. I mean, well, it is spontaneous. I will just speak. I mean, there's no real script. I've got like a sort of framework in my head that I sort of want to adhere to, but I mean, it's all pretty free form, really. So how I want to start this really is that I'm part of a music artist community. A few, but one of the main one is something called New Artist Spotlight. And a member of that community just posted a link on the forum and tagged me in it and said, "James, what do you think of this?" And it was a freeform piano piece. It was just Virginia, known as Blues Trainer. I mean, do look up Blues Trainer. I mean, her voice is absolutely fantastic. The expression and feeling that she puts into her voice, into these bluesy songs. I mean, it's really fantastic. Recommend looking up Blues Trainer. Anyway, Virginia is her name, and she also plays the piano, and she does like to do improvised stuff. And I'd like to think that she may have got a little bit of inspiration from me, hence why she tagged me, because that's what I do in sort of spontaneous piano pieces. And the sound was it sounded like a rough old piano. It had a massive amount of character. And the piece was lovely, and the feeling and expression in it was absolutely epic. And the reason I sort of want to say about the sound of the piano, I mean, the piano was sincere, if you know what I mean. If an instrument can be sincere, the piano wanted to sound as the best that it could. And Virginia was like the operative in order to make that happen for the piano, and she certainly did. And it's like she got the best out of it. I mean, it tried its best, and it sounded absolutely fantastic. So what I'm trying to get at is like, it doesn't matter about what makes a sound. It's what goes into making that sound from the person making it. I mean, it's the feelings and it's the expression, and it's just the organic relationship between an organic thing and a possibly an inanimate thing, but it's not really inanimate because it moves. I mean, a piano moves. It has moving parts. Hang on a minute, this is making a bit of a noise. So. Cool. And so it doesn't matter what it is that's making a sound, it's the input from the artist or the operator, whatever you want to call it. So I sort of have this argument with people sometimes, especially with like DJs as they are now, in a club. All right. It seems to me that they have a little box of electronics, and they've got the buttons and their knobs, and they're making noises out of it. Not only that, but the DJ, he or she, is normally getting right into it, getting right into the music, feeling the music, feeling the vibe, and operating this piece of machinery, this device, accordingly. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the DJ and that box. There's also a symbiotic relationship between the DJ and the crowd. So there's a three-way thing. Tribiotic, I don't know, whatever the word is. So the crowd feeds back to the DJ. The DJ is interpreting that, making the noises accordingly, making the sound accordingly, altering the track accordingly, and then responding to more feedback. Also, the crowd then responding to what the DJ does. So it's got this sort of reactionary cycle, and it's an evolving thing. I mean, I assume at the end of it, you can tell I'm a club-going person, yeah. But I've seen videos of it on TikTok and YouTube. So, one of my favourites is Skrillex. Okay. And I've seen videos of him up there doing it, and this cycle of reaction, and this build up, and presumably at the end of the night is this sort of calm down and wind down at the end. It's all relationship, it's all communication, and that is the art of music, in my view, is communication. So that little box is an instrument, is a musical instrument, same as a cello or a piano. Anything that makes a noise, and that noise is then organised in some way by a human or whatever, that's got to be a musical instrument, hasn't it? Even a computer. You know, this is argument about computerised music. Well, you know, you need human input to make that noise, and there is some creativity going on, even in the software, in the coding. I mean, let's take Aphex Twin. Okay, now he's passionate about electronic music, so he's come out with some software to make sort of different sounds, and how to alter and manipulate sounds. So there's Aphex Twin coding. I mean, he's an expert at coding. He's coding the software to do this. So in effect, he's been creative from his head into some code in order to make these noises. So that is music. That is an instrument, musical instrument. But then again, we can go back to the old-fashioned way, if you like, of my favourite, obviously, is a piano. And what goes into a piano is just like, well, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, the design of a piano from the very start. I mean, you've got to think of the wood that's going to be involved in making an acoustic piano. I mean, the choice of the wood, the resonance of the wood, the vibration of the wood, how it's going to react to the sound, what strings are you going to use, what are they going to be made out of, the actual mechanics of it, the physics, the science behind the framework that is containing these strings at a tension. I mean, there's quite a force, so you've got to know about forces. You've got to know about levers, because what about the mechanism of the hammers? You know, how's that going to be designed? How's that translated to the keys on a piano? What are the keys going to be made of? What's the touch going to be like? How is it going to react? I mean, what's the hammer's going to be made of? What's on there? The felt, what's that going to be made of? How's that going to sound? And then the piano forte, loud, soft, loud. So where's the dynamic range, and how's that going to completely translate into the movement of the keys? You know, how hard, how soft, the action. I mean, it is just mind-blowing what goes into the piano. Even like Virginia's Raffle piano, the same concept and the same physics, the same science, the same skill has to go into making that piano all the same as a £100,000, £1 million Steinway. I mean, it's the same, and it is just mind-blowing. So, and now of course we've got these electronic things, these digital pianos. So, you know, it doesn't sound bad, does it? You know, a few chips. The action on it's not that bad, actually. You know, it translates. Plays loud and soft. I mean, the software, pretty cheap, really, when you think about it. I mean, I'm using Ravenscraft on the iPad. I mean, you know, financial outlay is pretty minimal, really. Anyway, so my relationship with the piano, with music, I've gone into before. In other podcasts and about struggles, if you like, or difficulties growing up as a child with certain conditions, if you want to call it that, or certain ways of thinking that has diagnoses. And the piano is my go-to thing. My life, I've had this, we call it, I'll use the word again, symbiotic relationship with the piano for most of my life. I can't really remember a time when me and the piano have not been, you know, what sort of together, one thing, I suppose, at all. It's just through happen chance that my mum and dad, in our little house, had a piano. I'd often wonder why they had a piano, but I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, it's been fantastic for me. But I suppose, what would I think? What would I do? What would I have done as, you know, sort of struggling youngster to translate what I was feeling, which I couldn't do verbally and I couldn't do physically. Sort of, it's like nobody knew. I mean, we didn't have words like autism and ADHD and things like that at that time, although I was referred to a paediatrician. Nothing really came of that. I don't think. I can't really remember. What would I have done to communicate the way I felt? I thought about this last night actually, and it probably would be writing. I mean, I was a very imaginative writer. I loved writing, just pen and paper. You know, did well at school with English and creative writing and all that sort of business. And books were like, probably next to music, if not equal to, they were the thing I went to. They were, for somehow, certain authors could convey things in a way that I could relate to, in a way that I couldn't really relate to the world particularly well. I was thinking of authors, probably in my teens, I was into books like Michael Moorcock, a sort of series of tales at the end of the world type of thing, where you can imagine in a million years' time where the human race is, you know, tales from the end of time, where we are and what we're going to be like. I read a lot of John Wyndham stuff. I mean, The Triffids is one of his famous books, and Midwich Cuckoos, which got turned into a film called The Village of the Damned. And I remember seeing that. I think it was made in black and white. It's sort of that old, and man, that is some scary film. I mean, you know, just the feel of the film, just the feel of it all. You know, it did invoke some fear, I suppose it would be, yeah, but total interest. And so, yeah, probably that. And my love of books have just carried right on through my life. In our old cottage, it was only a small little cottage. I mean, it was rammed full of books. We got rid of a whole lot to charity because you know, you don't need books anymore because they're all available online. But I remember sort of a funny little tale, I suppose. Music's always been a side hustle, so I've always had to do other jobs, and one of the jobs was in the clayworks. I mean, I come from the clay villages in Cornwall and work in the clayworks, and part of my job there at one point was working in the labs. The labs are basically quality control, so the china clay that came in had to be tested for quality before it went out on the boats over to Europe into the paper mills. And one of my jobs with the labs was to go down to the docks, down to Foy docks, Par docks, and take samples. And so if you can imagine lorries full of China clay coming in, and they had to dump their load onto a massive conveyor belt into a big bin. That conveyor belt would then go onto the ship loader, and there's an operator operating it, and it just gets basically loaded onto a boat. Various sizes, a few thousand tons on a boat. And it's on a conveyor belt. My job was to just take, every now and again, take a little scoop and stick it in a bag. And at the end of the day, we used to take the bags back to the lab, and it had to be tested for quality. And these scoops I had to do was very few and far in between. You can imagine the lorries coming in. I mean, they weren't that fast. So I had plenty of time hanging around, and I had a van, obviously with the gear and everything, with the James Brothers. I mean, we were gigging musicians, so I had a van and everything. I could park my van right next to the conveyor belt, basically on the quay, on the docks, and I had the van stuffed full of books. Now, they were in every conceivable orifice, right? I remember around the seats, there was these pillory things going up the side of the seats, and they had like a gap in it. And I had these books just stuffed in the gaps all over, and I could be sitting there, and I would read. I may have been there for 6 hours, and all that time, apart from taking my scoops, I would be reading non-stop. And I had this library in my van with me. It was amazing. I learned so much, and also probably at the time, I was learning the Cornish language as well, and I was able to learn that at the same time. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, these pieces, right? I'm getting around to it. I'm sorry. Summer piano, spontaneous pieces, just improvisation. In the summer, of course, I'm really imaginative with the titles of my tracks. So I called the first one "Summer Piano Improv." It sort of goes like this. If I can remember. So, upload. Similar to that. Anyway, so that's basically it. But now I've got a new release out. I've called it Summer Piano, in brackets, Dawn Garden Ambience. So as I say, sat in the garden, recording the birds. I've moved it up an octave, so what are we up here now? And in other podcasts, I've mentioned Piano Book, which is a fantastic sample library. Amazing sounds there. And a lot of it's free, and a lot of it's for a decent sampler as well, not just contact. And I found this evolving pad. I mean, it sounds pretty good. So I managed to sort of tie it in with the piano structure, and then it's just triggering this evolving pad going. And it's responding to the notes, and it sounds pretty amazing. So so I've stuck that out. It's pretty relaxing, chilled out stuff. I don't know what would you do with it. I suppose at the end of the day, sit down, relax, have a glass of what you have if you drink alcohol, or if you want to skin up, whatever, spliff, whatever you want to do, and just chill out. Possibly at the beginning of the day, so I would describe it as grounding. So maybe at the beginning of the day, if you want just to focus a bit, get it together for the coming day. Maybe it's just grounding, getting yourself focused for that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the track, mostly. Thank you very much for listening to me waffle on about stuff again, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Alright, take care, bye.